Hey guys, how we doing? So in this screencast, actually I take that back, I'm going to do a series of screencasts, and basically I just want to be able to walk you through to the point that you can complete the project, considering where we left off during our class this past week at Prairie.Code. So in this video, what I plan on doing is essentially reviewing what we've done so far and basically showing you a couple bug fixes and optimizations that you can make to the application to make it run a little bit better. I just want to quickly disclose the fact that this application that I'm actually going to be showing you right here is a finished product, so therefore I won't actually be copying and pasting anything into the application. So feel free to make some changes, any changes that you feel necessary. Also as well, with any and all of these screencasts that I will be doing, I will be pasting code samples over the GitHub repo within the comments below. So first things first, there was a bug that I introduced into the home page, and let me go ahead and turn on the toggle word wrap. There we go. There was a bug that while it worked during development, the linter that is introduced during a build process did not like it. And what that was is that I had added an ngIf on both the no results card as well as the card that actually shows the individual results. Excuse me. And what that is that this little star that you see right here, with the ngIf as well as the ng4, these are template binding functions. And Angular 2 prevents you from actually having two template binding functions on a single individual element. So therefore, if you have ngIf and ng4 on the same element, it'll freak out and say, hey, no, you can't do this. So what we can actually do is just simply remove the ngIf off of the result. So therefore, you only have one template binding function on this Ion card where you're essentially showing who paid last. The nice thing is that because during the no results, or if no results are found, the ng4 will simply just show nothing. So therefore, the ngIf in this case is not actually needed. Okay. Let's see. I do believe that was about it. I am also, one thing I forgot to provide you with was the font files to go along with this project. I will also add those in a file below. I'll put those on my Dropbox. You guys can go retrieve those. Quickly click through some of these real quick. Settings page looks good. The app info page looks good. So, one thing that I somewhat glanced over, just the fact that since we were running out of time, is that I didn't really touch on the ability to, what the types of interactions that the database is actually making with the application. I didn't really fully explain it. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that real quick. So this is on the home page. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you so the get results function is actually the query for the database. So give me all the results that are possible, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm actually going to open the database. There's the name. The default location is actually just within the root folder of the application. So you shouldn't necessarily have to worry about this. The executed SQL command in this is I want to select the ID column, first name column, last name column, and as well as the who paid column from the data table, and I want to order them by first name in the ascending order. Okay, if you've done anything with a SQL database or any database for that matter, this should be pretty self-explanatory. So I'm saying if the results are greater than 0, go ahead and run them through this for loop. I chose to go ahead and do this for loop to basically help clean up some of the results that are returned by the database. So this is an effort to basically make it easier on myself, because while the SQLite is database Cordova plugin is really great and it does what it's supposed to do very well, there's a lot of convoluted, just for the lack of a better term, crap that that throws in there, and you kind of have to sift through. So this actually makes that data a little bit cleaner for you. Okay, and in typical promise fashion, .then here is my my catch. So saying if the error exists, go ahead and give me a console.error unable to execute SQL command, and go ahead and stringify the result. Keep in mind, if you are using your terminal or your command line to be able to parse these errors, if you do not stringify this error, it will show up as object, and you will not be able to read anything. Okay? So for the delete result, and actually this command right here is kind of somewhat twofold. So if you remember, we created a long press directive, and this directive is it is something that we can actually implement on the screen that catches when somebody presses on your application for a longer than a second. So if you remember, go back here to the home screen, you can see that we have this bracket tap. And what that is basically a interaction within the screen. Now there is an ng-click, or in Angular 2 it is actually just called click. There is, believe it or not, a difference between tap and click. I do believe that I somewhat touched on that during my talk, but I just wanted to basically re-emphasize that for you. So back to our long press, and I won't necessarily go into this very much because I wouldn't necessarily expect you to come up with this on your own. But basically ng on init, so if you're familiar with Angular at all, ng on init basically says, okay, when this loads, go ahead and implement this. And then for the just to make sure that we don't have any kind of memory leakage, we go ahead and destroy it when the application closes. Okay? So when I use that long press function, as you can see right there, I want to use show delete, which in this case I'm using the action sheet component that is part of the Ionic creative, or I'm sorry, the Ionic Angular component module. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my notifications there. So the documentation can be found on Ionic's website. As you can see right here. And there's a quick demo for you. Actually, let's go ahead and use, there we go. We were using Ionic version 1. There we go. So you can actually see it in action. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say, assign it the title, and what we're going to do is through that, that long press action, we're actually passing through the data. So the index of it, and then I want to give me the first name and the last name. And then I'm basically using an array of objects defining which buttons and the actions that they actually represent. So in this case, the cancel is just to go ahead and hide the action sheet and destroy it. The delete result actually goes down here, or I'm sorry, up here, my bad. And what we're going to do is we're effectively going to open the database again, and then I'm going to issue a delete command, basically saying I want to delete this based on the ID that I'm passing through. And then, once we're done, I want to go ahead and show the toast that I created up here, and that's basically it. All we're doing is deleting something from the database and essentially showing the toast, which we've already done, showing the first name and the last name was successfully removed. Okay, so at this point, what we've done is that we've effectively created an application that we can basically create records. We can modify them using our toggle result function right here, which is, so whenever you tap on a result, so you can see right here, toggle result, I am actually simply updating the database. And then using a combination of the long press directive that we created, as well as the delete result, we are actually deleting records out of the database. All right, so in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how to integrate mixed panel analytics into your application.